Lima. Suspect possible name Zachariah Careshi, date of birth 5/12 of 2000. The male is going from hospital to hospital looking for the victim. Again,
So here they start to talk about this guy, Zachariah Careshi. So this is another thing nobody ever talked about except I heard on your show, and so let's play it.
Tactical vest and a black mask, possibly carrying a rifle. Toyota Corolla, S820 Bravo Lima. Suspect possible name Zachariah Careshi, date of birth 5/12 of 2000. The male is going from hospital to hospital looking for the victim. Again, used.
So there is a police report. They got the guy's license plate. They got his car. They got his description. And they say he's going from hospital to hospital with a long gun looking for the victim. And they even have his name and his birthday. And his name is Zachariah Careshi, right? So I've never been told about this before. No one's ever brought this up. In fact, here's another one.
0. Notify if located in detail 1511.
Height 5'11", 198 pounds. Hazel eyes, blonde hair. Male. End of broadcast 1511. Also has male carrying a black bag with tan straps. Possibly driving a 2016 black Toyota Corolla, 28 Sierra 820 Bravo Lima. Suspect is Zachariah Careshi, 5/12 of 2000. Male is going hospital to hospital looking for the victim.
So he's going from hospital to hospital looking for the victim. They know the guy's name. The cops actually go to his, they got his name, his birth date, they got his license plate, they got his car, so they know where he lives. They go to his apartment, and he's not there. There's a police call saying, we're going to go talk to the landlord. And so why would you go talk to the landlord if he was there? So he wasn't there, although his father is quoted in the newspaper. This guy, Zachariah Careshi's father, is quoted saying he went right home. He was at the event, and he was next in line to ask a question. Charlie gets shot. He goes home. That's according to his father, who was, by the way, military intelligence. Keep that in mind. And so this proves that's not true. Then this proves that this guy was going from hospital to hospital looking for a victim, and that he wasn't at his apartment. He wasn't at his apartment until even after 3 o'clock. He still wasn't at his apartment. So I'm going to let me show a picture of this guy. So that's him, right? Are you there, Baron? Did we lose you?
Oh, I'm here. I'm sorry. Did you lose me for a second?
Yes, we lost you for a second. So that's him, right?
Yeah, that's him. That's Zachariah Careshi.
And tell me what about his background, if you can.
So he was a Mormon missionary in the Netherlands. He works for a company that's a venture capital company, and he does some work. They did a $200 million deal with the University of Utah Ventures not terribly long ago, earlier last year. And you know, he looks pretty straight and up on the face. It's when you dig in a little bit that it starts to get a little suspicious. He speaks Dutch and Arabic. His father is a 34 or 35-year military veteran in intelligence. He speaks multiple languages, has lived in Saudi Arabia and Jordan. As you get into it more and more, his father's a defense contractor and got $7.5 million in defense contracts in June of last year.
Yeah, let me show. So tell me about this picture.
That picture is with the Navy, I believe.
Yeah.
He had done some work with the Navy, and it's unclear what he was doing.
So this goes back to Candace's assertion that she's certain that this assassination was a military operation, and all these people are involved in the military. This guy's involved in the military. His father was in charge of the East Coast and West Coast at some point, Navy. He's military intelligence, 34 years. He's worked overseas. They all speak Arabic. And you've showed this also in your report, that the FBI, CIA, NSA, and BYU. Isn't that interesting? So here is his father. This is his father, was a commissioned officer and had all these big intelligence. And then he started. So that's really weird that this guy is out there going from hospital to hospital. The cops go to his apartment. He's not there, but nothing ever happens to that guy. What is there any other record about what the cops did with him?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of records about it because they detained him. They asked him questions. The FBI actually showed up with the local police to detain him, which I found a little curious. And we never got an explanation for why they chose to do nothing with him. We never, if a guy is radioed in as going hospital to hospital looking for the victim, potentially with a long gun, then when they detain him and let him go, the news report should not be, we have no idea why they detained him. It was a comedy of errors. It was a huge mix-up. The news report should be, no, he was reported to be going hospital to hospital looking for the victim, potentially with a long gun. They had his description. They had his name. They had his license plate. They had an accurate description of his car. But here's why it was wrong, and here's why we changed our mind. Instead, they just wiped their hands of it and moved on. A couple of local stations did a story like, oh, man, we have no idea why this guy was detained. I'll tell you why he was detained. Because those were the police reports coming in.
Yeah.
The police reports coming in were terrifying and indicated he was doing something wrong. That's why they detained him. I'd like to hear an explanation of why they concluded that he was not involved.
And at all. So this guy going hospital to hospital, they got his license plate, they got his car, they got his birth date. They know exactly who he is. And you never hear anything about this on the news. I mean, I'm talking about legacy media or in the corporate press, anywhere. Nothing. And I didn't hear about him until I listened to your show, and you had to discover it through police correspondence. And so now here's where it gets really crazy. So his father was military intelligence for 34 years. His father lied to the newspaper saying his son was at home at his apartment. He wasn't at home at his apartment. None of this makes sense. He actually fits the description of Tyler Robinson, the shooter, better than Tyler Robinson does, right? In fact, here is a picture. Oh wait, no. So there's a guy. So let's talk about this. So this is a company that tell me about this. This was the guy you just had up a minute ago, Zachariah Careshi, the one that was going door to door looking at hospitals. Yes, that guy right there. That guy. So he's going door to door.
So his father, the military veteran,
right,
is also a business owner. He's also a defense contractor. Tell me how that's not a conflict of interest,
right?
But whatever. His father, who's a defense contractor, has a business partner named Henderson. His last name's Henderson. His business partner's son is a guy named Connor Henderson. That's the picture you just had.
That's this guy.
So Connor, I'm looking at him and I'm like, where does he work? He works at the Timpanogos Regional Hospital emergency room where they took Charlie Kirk. So that immediately raised my suspicion. I thought, okay, and I marked that off and put it on my run of show. I was like, I'm definitely going to mention that tomorrow. And then I start drilling down and I zoomed that picture in. I thought, my God, that looks like the guy in the stairwell. It looks just like the guy in the stairwell.
That looks like that guy.
To me, it does.
To me, it does. To me, it does. 100%.
It looks more like him than Tyler Robinson does.
So the guy who was going hospital to hospital looking for the victim, his father, the military intelligence guy, has a defense contracting company, and his partner's son is this guy. His partner's son is this guy who works at that hospital, who looks more like this picture of Tyler Robinson than Tyler Robinson does. So this is all, again, it's not right. And here's one more. Here's his brother, right?
Yeah, I forgot about the brother, yeah.
So tell me about his brother.
His brother's a Green Beret in one of the most elite military units in the world. I mean, like I said on my show, you don't accidentally become a Green Beret. Those are some of the baddest dudes on the planet. That's his younger brother, Zane Careshi. He is a Green Beret. Actually had just gotten back from an overseas trip in August, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And, speaks Farsi and Arabic and also, went to these same schools and did all the same stuff. It is worth looking into. When you're talking about the Tyler Robinson story, makes no sense that he would alone have plotted this out, schemed it out, figured out how to get on the roof, known exactly where Charlie Kirk was going to be, shot him with a 30-06, somehow got on the roof without being seen, getting it up there, but gets it up there. None of it makes sense. But it makes a lot more sense if you involve people like this.
And they had, so this business that they have, is this what it's called? Built?
Yeah, it's called Built Incorporated. That's correct.
And so that's his partner, right?
Mhm.
So this Zachariah, his father's, who is the military intelligence guy, his business partner is this guy, and they run Built, and they started this corporation, and they had this normal kind of business, right? They had 100,000 here, 100,000 there, 300,000, and then all of a sudden, right in June, they had these big. Let me see if I can find it. So they had two big, huge contracts happen. One was for almost $5 million, and one was for $2.5 million, back to back. When was that? That was June 16th and June 1st. So what does that tell you?
Well, the timing looks suspicious. This is a company, a defense contracting company, like you said, had never really had any big deals, certainly not in the last 5 years. And they're piddling along, making 300 here, 200 there, 500 there, a couple of 50s and 100s maybe. And then all of a sudden, right about the time that you would start planning for a Charlie Kirk event like this, if you were going to have a big coordinated effort to take him out, they get a $5 million contract, and 2 weeks later get a $2.5 million contract. And after the show last night, someone sent me where they think they got a $15 million contract the next month after that. That's not yet in the system. So there's been, I think that's accurate. I've not vetted that, but there's a lot of money rolling into this company all of a sudden.
Yeah, just like TPUSA, coincidentally.
Yeah.
So, so it looks like this is definitely, so as Candace Owens has said, this was a military job. It was obviously, nobody who's of clear mind thinks that it happened the way the FBI said it did. And everybody who's of clear mind knows that this was a professional hit. This was a hit. This was an organized hit. And so it looks like, and she says it's going to be military. And so, of course, this guy who's on this police scanner, going to hospital to hospital, is connected to all this. His brother's a Green Beret, father's military intelligence. They have a defense contractor. They get these huge deals right at the time of all that. This is, so it looks definitely like these things. And the guy looks like the description of Tyler Robinson more than Tyler Robinson looks like the description. It's unbelievable. And you're the one who's uncovering this. And this is what, and there's not one mainstream news media person who will cover this. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I had somebody ask me today, has anyone reached out to you to ask you about this? I was like, no, are you crazy? No. Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
All right, come see me on tour in Lansing, Milwaukee, San Antonio, Albuquerque, Houston, Dallas, Salt Lake City, Las Vegas. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and don't go anywhere else, because if you do, they'll charge you more.